So, welcome to the podcast Trends Literature Series, where we try to uncover the stories behind the stories. Today on our 165th episode, we have the honor of hosting Abhas Verma. He's the author of Third Battle of Panipat, which is, I must say, a meticulously researched book on one of the most important and significant battles in Indian history, and a topic that definitely holds a lot of historical and cultural importance. Thank you, Abhas, for joining us.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me for a discussion on Third Battle of Panipat. It is an honor being part of this discussion.
Thank you, Abhas. Abhas, I must tell everyone, has really dedicated himself to unraveling the rich tapestry of India's past, particularly focusing on the stories that have really shaped our socio-political, historical, and cultural landscape. And besides dwelling into the past and unraveling it, he's also a software professional. Abhas, before we really delve into the book and the topic of Third Battle of Panipat, I would like you to inform the uninitiated on some very, very basic facts on Third Battle of Panipat. When, where, maybe who were the main participants, some leaders, and maybe the size of armies that we talked about, some casualties, perhaps a little historical lesson from your side.
Okay, so like Third Battle of Panipat, this was like most of the people might be aware of this Panipat now because that Panipat movie has been made. But like this, people from Maharashtra, they are very much aware of this Panipat thing. Where they anything wrong happens with them, a cricket match is lost, they say it's Panipat Zala. Panipat has happened with the team. So like they compare Panipat with disaster.
Hmm.
And like people living in this thing, and Delhi NCR region, they might be very well aware of what Panipat is. But for people living in Eastern India, Central India, I'd like people who are not that much aware of the history, I will tell you that Panipat is a very important part of history. It's about it is a very important battle
Hmm.
fought in the history of India. Not only India, I think if you see the history of 1000 years, and during this 1000 years you take 10 important battles or 10 bloodiest battles that was fought, will find third battle of Panipat somewhere there, because the number of casualty in the battle was very high. 1 lakh people from Maharashtra were killed in that battle. It is a saying in Maharashtra, there is no home in Maharashtra who has not lost a person in that battle. And that also, you can just think, people from Pune, people from Satara, they had gone to fight a battle in somewhere around 2000 kilometers away, somewhere in Panipat. And like they were massacred, butchered, and then many of them could not return. They faced so much of humiliation that they settled somewhere in Uttarakhand. Some people there in have settled in Banaras. Some people have settled in Bihar and all these places. They never wanted to. They could not. Then none of them. Many of them could not go back home. Many of this thing were taken as prisoners and taken to Pakistan and Afghanistan. There is a Maratha community in Pakistan. That Baluch Marathas are there, Mari Bukti tribes, and all these things. So lot many things have happened with them. And like this is a this thing, I think I'll call it disaster, a national disaster that took place on 14th of January 1761. And if we have to study what led to the disaster, we need to find out. There is a saying in Mahabharat, Sikh beete dino se kare nay yug ka swagat. We have to learn from a history why so many people were butchered and massacred in this way. And then uh, and then we have to see that these things should not happen in future. So that is my point.
You also mentioned that around 1 lakh people were killed, the soldiers were killed. So what was the size of the army that really participated in the war? That must be substantially high, that some major percentage were casualties.
Yeah. See, ma'am, actually, this was what was happening, that whenever the Marathas were going from Pune to this thing place, to northern India. No, when I say northern India, it is something around the northern banks of Narmada River. Now, I will say that Narmada divides India into two parts. the upper part is northern India, so the below part is southern India. But normally southern India, if you see that it's Karnataka and all these regions. But yeah, so whenever people used to go from Pune to Banaras, Mathura, and all these things, these regions were very hostile. So you could not go all that there all alone. You need protection. So that is why the army. So they used to travel with the army. So I will say that not 1 lakh people were there. The 1 lakh people that are present were soldiers. Many of them they were pilgrims were there. Many of them will like no, just people who went as an aspirant, so that if those lands are conquered, they can become this thing. That if you see ancestors of Rani Lakshmi Bai, she her ancestors were living in Banaras, but they were Maharashtrians. Navalkar, their surname was, and like they like and she was married to someone in Jhansi. Jhansi is in Uttar Pradesh. So lot many Maharashtrian people they used to travel to these places, so that if those places become uh, were conquered, they can do some civil bureaucratic function over there. Not only just things, many people who wanted to travel, they accompanied the armies as travelers, so that they can feel the security of the army. So I'll say the strength of the army, that the strength of the Maratha army was 40,000, and around 1,50,000 was the pilgrimage strength. And the strength of the Abdali's army. Abdali came with an army of just 40,000, but he made allies with Rohila, Shujauddaulah, and all the principal Muslim chiefs that he could gather, except Nizam. So I think the strength of the Afghan army was around 80 to 90,000. That was there. And technology wise, I can say that they were highly superior compared to Marathas, because the Marathas, they did not had very good guns. They had only the rejected pieces of the artillery that was supplied to them by the French and the English, and this thing. But the Afghans, they had very good artillery, and they not only the traditional artillery, they had mobile artillery. There is one this thing, Zam Topa is there, and also there was one cannon that was manufactured in Pakistan. That they say that it was manufactured from the utensils of the Hindus, from the houses of Hindus, from the utensils of the Hindus. I cannot recollect the name of the cannon. I think it was Zamzam only. That cannon was in India, in the longest cannon that was present in the Indian subcontinent.
Fantastic. I mean, you really have done such substantial research that by heart all the details. Your book really has shed light on numerous lesser known facts of the battle. But before we dive into the intricacies of the book, could you share what really inspired you to write this book? I mean, and what is so special in your book about the Battle of Panipat?
So the inspiration, I think, a long time back, I think when I was a child, I used to see the movie serial by Sanjay Khan. It was presented on Doordarshan. The name of the serial was The Great Marathas. Yeah, so in that battle, it was like you can see, like it was a very I think fascinating show with that. I think 10 or 12 episodes were dedicated to Maratha. This thing, the Third Battle of Panipat. And then it was shown how Maharaji Scindia capture, like he took the vengeance of Third Battle of Panipat. But like that show inspired me, I'll say. That why, and also this thought kept into my mind, that why, how come 1 lakh Marathas were defeated by our army of 40,000, and
Yeah.
that, so like that thought kept in my mind, and I kept researching on this thing. I read few books, but I could not find the answer. So I looked deeper into the things, and like when I read some historic books, I found that the strength of the Maratha army was never 1 lakh. It was 40 to 50, max 50,000, even at the peak. And like many of them died of hunger, many of them died of the cold, harsh winter, and all these things. Many of the non-combatants, Nana Fadnavis, who was always a civilian throughout his life, he was a statesman of Savai Madhavra and all these things. He was forced to stand with a sword to increase the military strength of the army.
And what do you think is so special in your book?
We found
And
a
how is
faster
it
route
different?
via
So
Chennai
sorry.
Delhi
So
Highway,
sorry,
which
just a
saves
minute.
4 minutes.
Just a minute, I will edit this. Something is switched on my phone. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, you also mentioned that, I was reading about your book and I felt that there has to be something very, very special in your book, which is so different. I know your fascination you just mentioned since childhood. You saw various serials, you got interested, but what do you think as an author is something so special in your book
Yeah.
about
So
this?
yeah. So like multiple authors, they have written something about the battle. The Maharashtrian writers have something written something. The North Indians have written something. The Pakistani or Afghan writers have written something. But like you will see on all these things, there is some biasness. The Maharashtrian writers have their own point of view. The North Indians have their own point of view. The Rajputs have their own points of view. The Afghans have their own point of view. So but I have combined the views of all these people, the Maratha version, the Afghan version, and try to take a non-biased point of view, a very neutral point of view, and looked at the things. So I'll just quote one example. There is one manuscript, Mirate Hamadi, that is written by a uh, Gujarati historian. I think it was written in by the end of battle 70, I think 1790 or 1780 it was written. So it says that 1200 women in good position, among whom 700 traveled in palkis, were taken prisoners and sold in the markets of Kabul. So, but if you see, if you do research on this thing, if many few women accompanied the army, only the this thing, only like this thing, Parvati Bai and this thing, wife of Nana Fadnavis and mother of Nana Fadnavis went with them. Impression is created that many women accompanied their husband during the battlefield, but that is not true. If you see, and this thing uh, uh, and like whoever like this thing, Nana Fadnavis' wife, she escaped from the battlefield. Parvati Bai, she escaped from the battlefield, and others like who could not escape committed suicide there itself. The Nana Fadnavis' mother, she committed a suicide there itself on the battlefield. So the gross exaggeration that is there by some of the historians is like just a brave doe, or a way to insult the Maratha community, I'll say.
You,
But this is not the case, because see, if you see, there was a communication going on between the Marathas and the Afghans even after the battle. Nowhere very friendly communication. Like there was a Kesar Patta given by this thing, Abdali, to Madhavara. An elephant was gifted by Sabai by Madhavara to Abdali. Nowhere they talk about their like the disrespect given to women, or something like women being sold and all these things. So these are all historic exaggerations. Yeah.
you know,
Second thing that,
yeah, please go ahead. Please.
yeah, so yeah, so many things are there. So yeah, I have also put this point that Marathas have gone up to attack. That I think Jaduna, even Jaduna Sarkar has he has said that this is a false story. But I have quoted few examples from historic book which say that Marathas have gone up to attack, and Maratha rule was spread up to attack. That is there in Pakistan, on the frontiers of Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And also there is one this thing, many of the people are tried to say that Najib Khan had an understanding with Malhar Rao Holkar, which is a totally false thing. Like if you see, uh, Najib Khan, if you see the history of Najib Khan was too untrusted a man, and like even before that, when this thing, when the battle did not take place in Sikandrabad, Malhar Rao Holkar's army has to face the rout because of the Afghan army. So the friendship between that he the people used to people have written that this thing, Nazib Khan was like a son to Malhar Holkar, which is a totally false statement. That is also like given in my book. And like there are multiple things, multiple historic facts, multiple myths that are busted in my book.
You're so right. I also feel that the Third Battle of Panipat has been a turning point in Indian history. But what do you think? I know you mentioned so many of them. What was the main key event or tensions that led to this monumental conflict, and so thereby giving the importance of Third Battle of Panipat? I mean, what was that key thing or the key tensions that led to this conflict?
See, actually, this thing, the whole Battle of Panipat was taking place because of the Punjab region.
Hmm.
The who will control Punjab? That was the question. So there was three. There were, I will say, three parties involved. One is the Mughals, second one is the Afghans, and the third one is the Marathas. So first thing was, and there was also six, but they were not so much. They were not so much powerful at that time. So at that time, the Mughals came up with a very good strategy. They told that we could not keep that from his under control. So let us give it to Marathas, okay, and then we will in return we will get the protection from these people. So like in underworld you have hired contractors,
Hmm.
or as a contract is given to them, so they hired the Marathas to protect themselves. But this thing but what happened is like this thing, uh, the Marathas, they established their rule about all the regions, but they were not that much, I will say that they were not having that much uh, military superiority. uh, and then they spread to all those regions, but they could not control those regions. And like when then Abdali came to know that Punjab is slipping out of mind, he came to take revenge. And then when he came to take revenge, then the Maratha army tried to stop him. So the first person that was killed was Dattaji Scindia. Now the Dattaji Scindia, he was the right hand, he was the most able soldier of uh, um, Peshwa Bajirao, Peshwa Balaji Rao. So now they're in Maharashtra. There was a big feeling that this day that we are superpowers, and like our best general, it is being killed in Delhi. So now we have to take vengeance. Someone from Peshwa's own family need to go. And apart from that, this thing that in the previous this thing, when Abdali has come to in the fourth invasion of Dali, he has created a lot of he has created a lot much loot, and like he has plundered the Hindu holy places like Mathura and all these things. So some like there was one uh, person from Jhansi, Kashi, I think Kashi Rao. He wrote a letter to Peshwa that this thing. There is a that India, our country, our motherland is suffering from a very old disease. That disease is called Abdali. If you can get him, if you can get rid of him, you will be uh, like you will get punya of one like 1,000 like doing pilgrimage to 1,000 places. So you should go and get rid of extinguish this disease out of India. So I think then the plan was made that someone from the Peshwa's own family should go. I think first in the fourth time, this thing during the fourth invasion of Abdali, Raghunath Rao was sent, and like he took the Maratha banners up to attack. But he went there when Abdali already has left the country. So
Okay.
and also this time he asked for like lot of funds and all those things. So the funds could not be arranged, and he taunted Sadashiv Rao that why don't you try your luck? And then Sadashiva was sent to tackle these people.
But why do you think the Marathas, in spite of knowing everything, they really failed to secure alliances, maybe with Rajputs, maybe Jats, maybe Sikhs, despite everybody had a shared concern about the Rani's invasion? Why couldn't they have an alliance? Why couldn't they put everything together? They all had the common aim. They all had the shared concerns about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Rani's invasion.
Abdali's invasion.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Uh,
Sorry.
yeah. So see, actually, see, the thing is that in India, like if you see the time of from the time 1,000 years history, we have never been able to show a united face. Even like today, we are disintegrated in the name of region, religion, caste, and all these things. Even in the time of Prithviraj. Prithviraj was like he could not get the this thing support of other Rajputs. Similar was the case of Maharana Pratap. And like these Marathas also, these Marathas were like they were also not united. In there was a Maratha army in South Tanjore army that was not part of the Third Battle of Panipat. There was an army in Cuttack by I think Sathe was there. He also could not uh, go to that place. Also, there was the Marathas of Nagpur, Bhosle clan. There was Marathas of Nagpur. They also did not went. So we could not never uh, see, show a united face towards this thing. And when the battle, after this battle and all, when everything was lost, and then Madhav Rao wrote a letter to Peshwa that if you need any help, please protect me from Abdali and all these things. So this is the thing that many of the writers they have written about Hindu greed of gold. That is, I'll say that even today you see that
Yes.
how many relatives help us in the time of distress. How
Yes.
many people help us in the time of distress? Everybody is like like trying to make money, or like trying to like in Hindi there is a very good line, par sukh dukh. If you are happy, if you are very happy, people will be very unhappy with you. If you are very if you are very distressed, then people will be very happy. So that is the thing. And also they were saying that these people were taking chauth and all these things. But see, the thing is that we have we have to have a nationalist point of view. Money is different. This thing, Rajpat is also different, territory is also different. But you should not means when it comes to your religion or when it comes to your nation, you should show a united face. That is my point of view.
Yeah, I totally understand that lack of nationalism and lack of being together in this major crisis led to the debacle in Panipat. So, what
Yeah.
lessons do you think in leadership and strategy can be drawn from the Third Battle of Panipat? Because it's an important lesson. It was an important battle. Still, we lost.
Yeah.
Still, the
Yeah.
Marathas lost. Yeah.
Yeah, developing technique, I'll say technology is a very important thing. I'll say that you'll see that Abdali had moving artillery that was unheard of. When Babar came, he came with guns. Nobody has heard in India about guns.
Hmm.
And when the English came, they had rifles. Nobody, like and then like 200, 300 Englishmen, they used to defeat thousands and 5,000 cavalry and all the infantry with swords. So all these things you have to be technical, you have to upgrade yourself technologically. And also not just technology, you have to have diplomatic and this thing political skills. Sometimes you have to forego small gains for a bigger gain. If there there has been a differences between some major parties, like I'll say that in the Third Battle of Panipat there was some differences between the Marathas and the Jats initially helped them, but later there were some differences. I think Surajmal Jat was asking Delhi, and then Marathas were saying, no, we cannot give you Delhi, or there were some kind of differences. So like if you have to find the exact problem or this thing, then you have to go in time machine and see, because nobody will tell you the exact this thing. In the letter something Maratha version they have written something else, the Jats have written something else. But the truth is that they could not ally themselves in the national interest, I'll say. So that was the that I'll say that in the case of such this thing, you should forget your personal differences and come to a common goal, and then strive to achieve that goal.
See, at that moment of time, whatever happened and they lost and everything, but do you think did the Marathas really overcome the setback that they faced at Panipat? And how did the defeat at Panipat affect the morale and the political cohesion of the Maratha Empire in the years following the battle? Because it was definitely one of, as you mentioned, one of the 10 most important battles of our times. So, how did it affect the overall psyche of the Marathas? How did they really overcome this setback?
Yeah. See, the biggest setback that Marathas got not at the Battle of Panipat, but by the death of Balaji Rao, the
Ah,
Peshwa. The Peshwa, the death of Peshwa, like that disintegrated the empire. There was fight between the uncle and the nephew, so Sir Raghunath Rao and Madhav Rao, and then that opportunity was utilized by the Hyder Ali and this thing Nizams, and also this thing the English used this opportunity. But I'll tell you, the one man who reclaimed whatever was lost in Panipat was Mahatma Sindhya. He took up the initiative, and then he captured whatever was lost in Panipat. He took the vengeance from the Rohillas. He could not go up to Panipat, but like he almost all Delhi, and like he captured Delhi also. He defeated the English, and like he spread the Maratha rule at least up to Delhi. When this thing Mahaji Sindhya was like he became the de facto ruler of India, or Wali Ahad. Then this thing, there was a term used by the many of the people or Muslim writers. They say that Shah Alam Shah Alam da Raj, the Lal Kile the Palam tak, that he rules only from the Lal Kila to the Palam. Palam is a village. You are aware of that thing. Also, I want to read out something from my book, that how
sure,
this thing,
please.
how the Marathas were able to this thing overcome the national disaster that took this thing. Yeah. The G.S. Sardesai has written, at this time, 1772, Mahaji avenged the wrongs and atrocities that the traitor Najib had formerly inflicted upon the Sindhian house. The Rohilla Tom, his this thing, his uh, in Urdu it's a qabr. Rohilla's tomb was opened and his remains were scattered. His bones were taken out of the tomb or the qabr and scattered. Whatever was found existing from the spoils taken at Panipat was recovered. There was an elephant Jawahar Gaj of the Scindia family that was taken. That was also recovered, including, as the report, even some Maratha women. Immense booty was obtained, including horses, elephant, guns, and valuables. Because all of the things they could not take, the Afghans could not take. They sold it to the Rohillas, and this was recovered. Mahatji, even after, felt a legitimate pride as the avenger of the past injuries. It was no small comfort to the Peshwa to feel that he was, after all, able to wipe off fully the disgrace of Panipat and to restore Maratha power to the position which his three great ancestors had toiled to build up. So whatever we had lost at Panipat, we recovered it in 1772.
Right.
Only I think the 10 years we were like facing some issues, or like there was 10 year of distress, I will say.
Coming also to the fact that the sheer scale of the Third Battle of Panipat was staggering. I mean, the scale was staggering. But could you walk us through the key strategies and tactics which were really employed by both the Afghan and both Marathas? What were the strategies they had in mind and they employed during the war?
See, the strategies, I'll say that the Marathas, they were fighting in a very traditional warfare mode. Like this thing, we will have our big guns, we have artilleries and all these things, we have cavalry and all these things. We will fight with that. And like they fought in a square formation. What was that? This thing that from three parts they covered this thing. Their army, and then in between all the non-combatants were put in the in middle, and then they were moving towards Jamuna, and then from the Jamuna, they will somehow escape from boats or something. That was the plan. And these people, the Afghans, they were fighting the battle in, what can I say, in the way the Europeans fight the battle. All the, you will see in this Hollywood movies, the Spartans and all these things. They had a crescent type formation, uh,
Okay.
and then this thing, and the artillery that they were using, that was mobile artillery. You can fire from here, load it, and then move away. So by the time, because the battlefield is like, the distance between two armies is very high, 12 kilometers or 6 kilometers. You cannot see who is there. This thing, a cannon fire will come from here. You cannot see. You will estimate, okay, the cannon fire is from that place. Okay, I'll target that place. Okay. And by the time you target that place, that cannon has already moved from that place. It has gone from somewhere else. And
Imagine.
it will fire from somewhere else. Then you will see, oh, okay, it's firing from that direction. It's not in that direction. So you will get confused. So like, how you means, I'm just thinking of what would have been the mental situation of the Marathas, that there's from like, suppose like, I'll say, I'll take the example of um uh, I'll take the example of what can I say, Chandni Chowk. So if, on Chandni, one is the Red Fort, one is the Chandni Chowk. One on left side you go, you will have this thing, that place, Northern Delhi, and other part is Southern Delhi. So somewhere from the this thing, from the Khadi Bawri area, someone is firing. Okay,
Hmm.
and you will estimate that, okay, there might be somewhere from the Khadi Bawri. Let's target that area, and then all of a sudden you will find a fire somewhere from this thing, from the northern side.
My God.
All of a sudden, from Jhandewala area, somewhere from that area.
Very hard
uh,
to estimate,
Very hard to estimate, and like, and
especially in those
all the
times.
strategies will fail, that from where will I attack all of a sudden. And that was the thing. People had thought that we are surrounded from all sides, let us run whatever direction we find. Many of them ran to Jaipur, many of them ran to this place, Uttarakhand, and there is a huge population of Maharashtrian Brahmins. I think GB Pant ji, first chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, he was a Maharashtrian. Many of the people I find in this thing, Benares, there's a huge population of Maharashtrians in Benares.
So these were even the logistical challenges which Marathas faced, and it led to the outcome, the result of the
Yeah,
outcome.
yeah. Not just logistical challenge, climate. This climate of Pune, if you see, Pune does not face winters, or very less winter is there. They like in the winters of northern India, Delhi, and those regions, that is very, very harsh. They were not accustomed to this kind of climate, the kind of food that was grown over there. So like, and it is said that lot many cattle, lot many horses, they all died because of this thing. And like, there was no system of this thing. They never, only like Raghunath Rao, he has taken a very long expedition to North India. Previously they used to go on small expeditions to these small places in South India, to Anantpur and this thing, or Paddur, or small places. They never took so long expedition.
How long
So
did the battle last?
battle took only the battle I think took the only one day, but the war, like, they were surrounded for around 2 or 3 months in that region. From, I
Okay.
think, somewhere middle, from the starting of the November, they were surrounded in that Panipat region, and for 2 3 months they were surrounded. All the supplies were stopped and everything, because they were this thing, they were, I will say, trapped in that Panipat region. Their supplies used to come from this thing, from these places, MP and all these places. But they, in a crescent shape, these Abdali, he
Hmm.
stopped the supplies coming from them. And this thing, and Abdali, he used to get the supplies from the Saharanpur region, which was controlled by Najib Dawla. So it is I will say, it is a topic of a very important military study. Why that should be taught in military study? How you can, like, starve an enemy, and even like, defeat him even before the battle. For
Hmm.
2 months they were like on a very poor diet. So,
Yes.
so it's just imagine a person coming from Pune. He is like, he's never seen winter throughout his life, and like he is facing 4 degrees, 5 degrees, and then he is facing severe food related problem. He is starving for 1 or 2 months. Then all of a sudden he has to fight with such a military general, with this thing, having armors and everything, and with such a good artillery that he is not able to guess from where the cannon fire is coming. So just imagine.
My God, actually to think such a massive
Yeah,
battle, it happened
yeah,
on one day, 14 January 1761.
yeah,
See the
yeah.
fallout and see the strategy, how it was defeated, how Marathas were defeated. You know, your book also highlights the human cost of this battle. You know, something that often gets overlooked in traditional accounts. Could you share some of these untold stories?
Yeah, actually, my book contains lot many stories like this. So lot
Mm,
many there were few people who lost everyone. There is one Mahindale family who was the commander in chief of the Sadashiv Bhav. His his father and mother, he died, and he was like a child, 14-year child. He was taken into the care by this thing Peshwa family, and somehow he escaped from the battlefield. And like he came as an orphan. He went as a this thing as a member of the royal family. He's a son of a commander in chief, and he came back as an orphan. Nana Fadnavis, he lost his mother in the battlefield. The thoughts might be coming to his mind that had I not taken my mother, she would have survived. So many things. It's a very really sad episode of this thing. I was talking to one person, Rehan Sardar. He is a descendant of Ibrahim Khan Ghadi. His grandmother used to tell, never even go to Panipat. They were so many, they were so much horrified or petrified with this battle. They were like, so many sad memories are there. But I'll say that life comes out of death. This taught us a lesson. This was a lesson learned, and the bravery that was shown by the Marathas, like that was even appreciated by Abdali.
mm. So, do you think this was the most significant outcome of the battle, as you just said, that life comes out of death?
The significant effect.
Mhm. No, I mean, do you think this was the most significant outcome of the battle, or what do you think is the most? I mean, let's put it this way: what do you think is the most significant outcome of this battle, which happened?
See, see, you have to see it from the perspective of three or four people, because see, the one is Abdali,
Mm,
second one is this thing, his allies Najibullah. The other one is Shujauddaulah, who who got into a wrong alliance. Later he repented, and like he told that I did a great mistake by joining you. I will go and join Shah Alam in Bihar. There is one group, the Maratha group, who lost who lost a lot of pride, a lot of money, a lot of manpower in this thing. So I'll say that this what can I say, the carnage that took place, that should have been avoided. That is a lesson in our history, that such things should not even take place in future. If such a thing has to is about to happen, if someone from South India, some from 2,000 kilometers and coming to protect Kashi, Mathura, and this thing Ayodhya, then you should support him. And also I want to put one more point. You know, Anup Gir Gosai
mm.
and one more Naga sadhus. Many of them fought on the side of Abdali. So see such a thing. This thing, and like someone from this he's coming from Pune, and like you people from Jaipur, people from Bharatpur, people from Mathura, they are not supporting him. Then yeah.
I understand. I mean, you've really emphasized the importance of nationalism and the lack of unity, and which led to this very
Yeah,
important war. The
yeah,
outcome, I would say, of
yeah.
this very
That
important
is why there is a slogan nowadays: "Safe, एक है तो safe है, बटोगे तो कटोगे."
Say about it. This is definitely the relevance, too much of relevance today.
Yeah.
But how do you think the Third Battle of Panipat has been different from the first and second battles of Panipat, and perhaps to the other large-scale battles of our times, of history, our history?
See, first battle of Panipat is where it was fought with a what can I say, for a power struggle for Delhi. both the two battles. For first battle of Panipat was fought between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi, and the second battle was fought between Hemu and Babur. So both was for a power struggle. This was not for power struggle. This was for I'll say safety of Hindu holy places, Mathura and Kashi and Punjab. And it is not that I have gone and attacked someone. It is someone who has come to my family, and I have to drive him out so that I can protect my family. So this was the case, and this was like this thing. The this was both the battles. So first battle and second battle, that was between Mughal and the Pathans or Afghans. But this was a consolidated, I'll say, consolidated Afghan Shia, consolidated Muslim, I'll say, consolidated Muslim powers and just Marathas. One person who has come from 2,000 kilometers to safeguard your Hindu holy cities.
So, in modern context, today's context, do you think can we draw parallel between the disunity at Panipat and the modern challenges which are faced by India or other nations for that matter? Do you think there's a parallel? Do you think this still exists? Which does, but what is your perspective? How do you draw a parallel between what happened then and what is happening now?
Yeah, see this thing. I think the number of times they're trying to break the society nowadays. I will not go into the political point of view because I'm not a politician. But see, nowadays they are talking about caste census and all these things, demographic things, and all this. They'll say that whoever is having the maximum number of this thing person in that caste, that he should have that much representation. That is not the way. Okay, so like if I belong to caste A and there is only 10 people in that caste, so I will not have I will not have any representation. Is this thing jungle or something like that, that you will count the number of this thing and then you will give the representation? That is not the way. Representation should be given on merit. If I belong to caste A and uh, I can means I can take care of all 100 people in the in this thing. I should be given preference over the person who belongs to 80% of the people, who 80%, but he does not care about that 80% also. He's more concerned about making money.
So right, very, very relevant, I would say, a comparison. But I also see that there have been many movies which have been made on Third Battle of Panipat, for that matter. Do you think they do really justice to this most important historical event?
I have seen only one movie. One is I think by Ashutosh Gowarikar.
Hmm.
But I means see, history is something you could not recreate. You create a fiction and a fictional story and do. But like if many of the things he had tried to create this thing. I think that movie flopped also. It did not do well in the box office. Although the star cast was also not that good. In Marathi, few movies are there, but I have not seen those movies. But like there has to be a story on Panipat, because this thing because it contains lot many masala that is there. It contains emotion. It contains nationalism. It contains everything that is there. There was one person, Ibrahim Khan Ghardi, on the Maratha side. He was lured by this person, Abdali. They told that I will give you this thing. I will make you the Raja of Hindustan. You come to my side. But he did not change his side. He created some problems, but like in the name of religion, he did not. There was one chapter written on Abdahim Khan Gardi, and like that thing is never told by the politicians. They never tell about him, all these things. So I'll say that there that no movie has been able to do justice to the Third Battle of Panipat.
Writing a book like this, which I'm sure must have been totally an enormous task. I think you wrote this book first in 2013, then a reprint came out in 2023. How was it?
Actually, I started writing in 2007. It took me for like I think 4 years. Means I do in part time only, not complete. But and that time that there was like not that everything was not available online. Many of the things were offline. You have to write to the publisher. He'll send the book and all these things. Many of the things were not available. You have to ask for a translation and all these things. So it was a very tedious job, and yeah. So
What were the challenges you faced while writing this? Because I know there's a lot of research. It seems, I mean, the kind of facts that you have at the tip of your fingers, I mean, it's amazing. It shows the kind of work that you've done on this. But you, as an author, you somebody who's been fascinated with this subject for so long, what were the main challenges while researching this book? It's a long
see,
journey. There's a second reprint
yeah,
now in 2023,
mm,
and the story of the book goes on.
yeah,
And we will be releasing this video on the anniversary of the Panipat, Battle of
mm,
Panipat.
mm,
So, I mean, your association with this goes on and on. But what were you? What were the main challenges for you? And and also one question which I really wanted to know: any surprising discoveries that you made by writing this book?
mm. See, it was like an onion. Whenever every layer you take, you find something. Oh, it's very surprising. And coming to the challenges, first challenge was that I'm not from a Marathi background. Many of the documents they were in Marathi, so I could not understand them. Now I can understand Marathi a little bit, but at that time I could not. So I have to take help from my sister-in-law, and so many people. They used to translate for me, and and so many things. Many of the things were not many of the they were translated into English, but like at that time, availability of the things over internet was not that good. Many of the things were not available on the internet. You have to go to the library and get the things, and then get a printout, and then they'll say that we'll only give only give 1/3 Xerox. We cannot give the whole book, and all these things. And many of the things, they are distorted. I'll see that in the public. You have to this thing. You have to verify the things. I'll tell you, even after the third battle of Panipat, you know what has happened to the survivors. Many of them were beaten. They were robbed on the way to their home. There was two people I can remember. One was Antaji Manikeshwar. He was like, he survived the battle, but I think the villagers on the way, they killed him. There was one more, Bhaji Hari Supekar. He was also killed on the way to home. Like, he was trying to escape from the battlefield, and then he was killed. So many of the revelations, or many of the information that is there on the public domain is not correct also. So if you see the historic documents, you see that it's totally incorrect. I'll say that many of the Kashiraj, he has written that Shuja-ud-Dawla did not made a move throughout the battle. But if you see the Mirate Ahmadi, it says that Shuja-ud-Dawla played a very important part.
Mm.
So you have to figure out who is correct, whether Kashi Raj is correct or Shuja-ud-Dawla is correct. So you have to do an analysis that that Kashi Raj might have written this because Shuja-ud-Dawla later wanted to have a friendly relation with the Marathas. So he has not written about his brave do or whatever he has done. Or there might be some Hindus in this thing, in his army. So those Hindu might have revolted. They would have told, no, we will not attack the Marathas because they are co-religionist. And I think Shuja-ud-Dawla gave shelter to 6,000 Marathas also.
So very right. In fact, what you're talking about is definitely research based, and that's also the reason why you say that movies can never do justice to at least the real facts. I mean, there'll
Yeah,
always be
yeah.
distortions. They'll always be moving away from what is actually there. So that's why books like yours come handy.
So in the movie of Ashutosh Gowarikar, he has put a story of Sakina Appa, which is a totally unhistoric fact. There was no Sakina Appa and all, and he has tried to put a what kind of secular point of view to just, I don't know what he was trying to prove. There is no, so if you wanted to create a story of Sakina Appa or Hindu Muslim unity or secularism, so to create a fictional story, no, then do it, but don't distort the historic facts. No?
Very right. I can see you're very passionate about this. You know, your work, you the time kind of you're trying to bring history to life for readers. But what advice do you have to give to perhaps historians or writers who want to explore India's rich past? Rich past. What is the single advice, or perhaps some more from your side uh, for writers of this genre?
So for the historians of these days, I'll say that you have to take a standpoint, even if it is wrong.
Hmm.
You have to say it is wrong. Like you cannot just justify the wrong that has been there. And this thing I'll say, uh, that history is something that has already happened. You have to analyze and give it. You cannot create your own history. I'll say that like 1 lakh or you cannot put mm, like Ashutosh Gawariker. He has put this thing, blame on Suraj Maljat, but Suraj Maljat was not that kind of person. I have read in my book that not a single Maratha could have crossed this thing, reached Pune, if he would not have been friendly to the Marathas.
Hmm.
He was a very nice person, and like his wife gave dakshinas to all the Brahmins of this thing Maratha army. Even the Sikhs, many of the people, they say that the Sikhs betrayed the Marathas, but that is not true. Then a person or a historian saying that the Sikhs did not do justice or betrayed the Marathas, or Najib ud-Dawla was treated like a son by Malhar or Holkar, that is all myth. If you want to write a fictional story, you can go and write, but don't distort the history.
Yeah. So one of the most important is you want to tell to the young historians or somebody who wants to write is don't be afraid of telling if it's not true. Tell people that at least it's wrong. Give them
Yeah,
facts for the right things
yeah.
and tell them that it's wrong. Very right. Absolutely. This has been such an enlightening conversation of us. But before we wrap up, could you tell us something else that you're working on, some more projects that you have or topics that you're planning to explore as intensely as you've done this topic?
Actually, if you see that I have written more than 10 books, like not all of them are in all history, but like one topic that I want to seriously explore is the Hindu resistance to the to the sultanates,
Hmm.
to the rulers of Sultanate period, to the Turks. So that what I want to seriously explore. Not because not much work has been done in that place, but like if you read a few of the historic documents, you will feel that they faced a lot of resistance. I'll say there is one mention of Khusro Khan in historic books. Veer Savarkar has also mentioned about Khusro Khan in his book.
Hmm.
uh, he was he Muslim writers has written a lot of about his caste. They say that he was a sweeper by caste, or he was a scheduled caste by caste, and so many things. Some people say that he was a Maratha, all these things. But he uh, means he went on to rule for a brief period, 6 months only, and like he because of him. Uh, Worship was taking place. Hindu worship was taking place in the palace of Alauddin Khilji. So that needs to be explored, and not this is just one story that has come into the fact, and that also through Mr. Muslim historians who have named him Khusro Khan. If he they have changed his name also, but there are multiple stories like this that needs to be brought out to the people, and I need the support, because I cannot do all on my own, because see I'm means every effort, like if I'll say that there was one book written on Panipat by Hari Ram Gupta. So that book was totally sponsored by the governor of Haryana, or the Haryana government. I am not getting any support, neither from any government institution, not from any private institution. So without any support, I am able to do such thing. If I get any support, what can I achieve? So that is thinkable.
Many, many wishes for your future. I mean, you've been doing such great job and for giving us such a very, very comprehensive understanding of Third Battle of Panipat. Your work truly brings history so far. So, any last words on your book before we totally finally wrap it up?
Yeah, even before talking about book, I want to thank you for having such an enlightening session, and such a what can I say? Means the way you have handled the session, the way the words you have used, like this is like means out of the world, I can say.
Thank
Like
you.
it was a I am short of words in describing the interaction. It's
Thank
truly enlightening. And means
thank you.
means I
Thank
am
you.
short of words in in describing what you have, means the way you have handled, the way you are speaking, and like this is totally like out of the world, I will say.
Thank you
I'll
so
not,
much.
I could not find a word to describe it. Yeah.
Thank you for any. Thank you for this. This has really made my day, and I'm sure this only tells us that we're going in the right direction, getting authors like you and your stories to everyone who loves books, everyone who loves history. This has been our aim. This is just a passionate endeavor. And so, any last words on your book that maybe we
Yeah.
missed out in our conversation? Yes.
So let's see, my book is like, this is just a humble attempt to bring the history to, or the truth. It's a truth relevation that is there. The people who have lost someone in the family in Maharashtra, or people from the NCR region, they should at least read this book once in their life. Or even from people from other region, they should also read this book. So what hardship the other people have gone through, and like what like what were you will say that why should I read this book, because none of my ancestors was died in the battle, or I was not concerned, I am from Madhya Pradesh, I am from Jabalpur, why should I care, it's from Panipat, I am from Jabalpur, this is hardly of my concern. I'll tell you that this thing, had the Marathas not this thing gone up to fight those people, history would have been totally different. Had the Marathas annihilated Abdali, he would have ruled up to Afghanistan frontier. There would have been no Pakistan at all. There is one very good scientist, Narnekar ji, I think. He has written a chapter about, had Vishwasha not killed in the battle, then that would have been, there would have been no British. I don't agree with him, but like, but our rule would, we would have rule up to Pakistan. So the day we lost the battle, that is my thinking. The day 17 January 1761, when we lost the battle, the what can the foundation of Pakistan was laid.
So well said. And thank you for joining. Thank you to all our listeners for tuning in this episode of podcast Trends Literature Series. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I really recommend everyone to read Abhas's book. And until next time, so keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the stories alive. And to our listeners, once again, I would request that if you've enjoyed what we are doing, do subscribe to our channel. So more and more stories like the one that Abhas told you today should reach out to as many people as possible. Thank you.